Welcome to GBIRL, the podcast looking at the real business world of esports, gaming, and streaming with the people and personalities behind it all. Here is your host, Bill the Conqueror.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Appreciate y'all being here. Thanks for coming back. I know there's been a little bit of space between these as I try to line up guests and get content going, so I appreciate everybody sticking around. One of the big things in esports right now, especially on the college end, so the recent NCAA ruling about how athletes can get compensated is fantastic. This might actually mean that, esports will grow a little bit. We have seen a lot of support on the club side of esports, especially with NACE and TESPA and a lot of other groups starting to support gaming on the college end. Scholarships, fantastic. What I've always had an issue with is schools offering esports degree programs, esports certification programs, certificate programs. And I'm like, these feel like dressed up business courses to me. I'm always open to being wrong. That's why you have the gentleman that you see on the screen right there. He has been at several different colleges across the country. He was an esports professor at Emerson College, the director of esports at Bay State College. He is also the esports community manager at CSU Global. Wide range of experiences. He's designed and taught his own curriculum. Thought he'd be an excellent person to have on with me today. So I have Coach Hummel. Thank you for making time for me today, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Bill. Really appreciate it.
No problem. So the intro I gave was maybe a little superficial. Go ahead and talk about your own experiences at each of the schools that you were at. Go right ahead.
Sure. So I'll start, I guess, with Emerson College. It was funny. I actually got the job, luckily. So before I was working in esports, I was working as a manager at a luxury high-rise where we'd lease apartments and whatnot. And I ended up meeting this awesome woman who lived there and rented from me, who was the director of the sports comm department at Emerson. And she knew I was, all into esports and, had done some things with my company in the past. And so we kept in touch, and then I ended up getting the job at Bay State, fast forward a little bit. And it just so happened that they were about to start some esports classes. The guy at the head of it was Kevin Mitchell. He's awesome. He's created great curriculum around the globe right now. But there was another teacher, and he backed out the day classes were going, and I had already been offered this position previously, and I turned it down because I'm just too busy. Right. And they came to me, and they were like, Bryan, we're in a pinch. We need somebody to teach this class out. And I came in, and, all the stuff that was involved in the class, like, I didn't really feel like it was what I wanted to teach, so I changed the whole curriculum in like a day, and went with it. And it was my first time ever teaching. This was about 2 years ago,
right?
And I just went with it, and it went really well. And I got some pretty good reviews and some people jobs in the industry and internships, and just kept going. And now I'm on year 2 and past COVID, back in the classroom, so it's really fun. Then I'm working at Bay State. I started off as the head coach there. I actually didn't get the job originally. I applied for it like a year and a half before I actually got the job. And I don't know why I didn't get it. They said I didn't have, enough experience like in the collegiate level, but I already had my bachelor's. I was, finishing up a master's and stuff.
Right.
So it's like, all right, I'll stick with what I'm doing. What I was doing, I was making good money. And then It's funny, a year later, the actual president of the college gave me a call, and he said, hey, Bryan, like, I'd like to talk about your background experience. And then, things aren't working out with our current coach, all this stuff, right? It was a nightmare. And I was like, all right, send me an offer. And then, I really thought about it. It was around Christmas time, so I'm at this Christmas party, and I'm making really good money at this one company to, at the college, and I'm like, everyone's like, you sound happy about it, so just take it. So I took that job, and throughout the years, I had always, kind of played competitively, professionally,
Hmm.
quote unquote. I'd always make money playing video games. And I
Right.
started a company back, in 2013 for boosting accounts and stuff. But that's
Yeah.
really how I got into the money market of gaming. And I was like, all right, let's do this. So I turned the whole program around, and I had been doing consulting for, I started the club at the college that I went to, and then I went varsity. So I started off with them, and then, colleges across the country were asking for curriculum. So, and we'll actually talk about, I think, when we were
Yeah.
talking before this video, what our thoughts are, but we'll get into that. And then, I landed the job at CSU Global as their community manager. So this is actually a consulting job.
Hmm.
I just like to put anything that I'm currently active in, you know, online, but that is a really unique program. They're the first fully online college that has an esports program.
Hmm.
So this is brand new.
Okay.
It's not super involved in the competitive side of things, but it's more the community.
Okay.
There's about 250 active students in it.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and it's growing more and more. We did compete in Valorant and like League of Legends amateur scene last year,
Okay.
or like before the summer, and then now we're going to be competing in a few other things, but. It's actually pretty cool. So the online environment, you typically don't meet your other classmates, but
Right.
now
Exactly.
they get to meet each other, and their professors will come out and do, gaming nights and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's just another way to get people involved. But that's kind of how I got into all those positions. They wanted me to do it because they wanted more community engagement,
Right.
and what a better way for an online school. So
Exactly, exactly. So okay, in that little short span of time, you've outlined all of the experiences that you can pretty much have in this business. You have your own consulting business. You ran in 2013, and I've talked about this, and the fact that you run a boosting slash recov slash carry service, whatever, they're freaking everywhere. It's huge business. That's important. You designed your own curriculum that is now being used at multiple schools. You rebuilt a college esports team. You have the like complete spectrum of experience of the industry, basically running events, the business side, the actual knowledge side. And so that first day of class, when you walk in, after the person who was supposed to teach the program walks out and they have their curriculum, and you walk in and you go, this entire curriculum sucks. I'm going to rebuild it from scratch. What did you see in the old curriculum that didn't work and that you had to fix with your stuff?
So the old curriculum was going to focus a lot on the production side because it's a big film school.
Okay.
Emerson
Okay.
is.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was going to be a lot of the production, and not that I disagree and say production isn't valuable. I think it's one of the most valuable assets um, around, but it was an esports management class. And I'm like,
Okay.
this isn't enough. You can't
Okay.
just teach this one thing. So yeah, I mean, I added that into a subsection, but it was really focusing around social influence and like how to stream
Huh.
on Twitch and all that stuff.
Hmm.
To
Okay.
me, that yeah, you can be a self-starter and yeah, people are making millions monthly doing it, right? But
Right.
that's not going to be your typical back end job for what I'm trying to teach you to get into.
Okay.
Um, and I saw like so the first guy that I had talked to about esports curriculum, I'm like, how did you base it? What
Hmm.
did you do? And he was like, I just looked at the hottest jobs on the market, what's going on, what are their job descriptions,
Right.
and then I just, teach my class based around what, the most viable jobs are. It's like, sure, let's do it.
Okay.
And that's how I restructured everything. Um, and it worked out really well. I have some cool stories about what we did throughout the semester, but
Nice.
we can get in depth in that a
Yep.
little bit later.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So I am of the opinion, and you can feel free to disagree with me on this. I am of the opinion that the esports craze, the esports growth. I'm a personal fan of competitive gaming, of the industry in general, the opportunities that it provides. But it just feels like to me that colleges are capitalizing upon this craze that, one, they don't fully understand, because you're dealing with people older than me. I'm almost 50. You're dealing with people older than me whose only experience in a video game was putting some quarters in a machine when they were like 14 years old. But you have these highly academic people who see esports and gaming and Twitch, and they're like, "Oh, we need to get those students at our school. What do we need to do? Scholarships for Overwatch and League of Legends. How do we make this work?" When in reality, they're just dressing up film courses. They're dressing up a business courses. They're dressing up English courses as esports and repackaging it. I mean, is that something that is that the wrong thought process that I have, or what?
No, and I'd say you're right 50% and 50% not right.
Okay.
There's, I would say, yeah, for a lot of the colleges that come in and have non-endemic teachers teaching these esports classes, they're adding it onto their sports comm and their film classes, and as a little subset, which it's good to get that knowledge in there. But then there's some colleges like at Emerson, for example, we only teach 3 to 4 different types of esports classes. And it really is focused on like literally the basic newbie beginner. Like these 60, 70-year-old people that are, wanting these classes should be taking it so they understand it.
Got it.
They are preparing you for the next things, but when you get into these programs that are offering bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, for me right now, there's no weight on the shoulders to it.
Okay.
If I were giving anybody advice, it'd be just go get a bachelor's degree in business or management or whatever
Thank you.
you were looking at. And yes, take some of the esports courses along the way, but no company is hiring you because you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. And it's a funny fact, I actually enrolled in a master's degree program for esports, the first one in the nation, last year, and to me, it just didn't do it for me. I'm not going to plug any names. I think some of the professors were great, but I didn't see the value in it, and I'll stick with my gut on that.
Okay.
And, I haven't seen any company, like I've seen the first wave of bachelor's degrees in esports people come out, right, this year. Where are they now? So that's what upsets me, and I always think about it this way too. There is a lot of jobs in the esports industry, but they don't pay that well, right? At the bottom level.
Right.
And this is like gainful employment issues that I run into. I always think of it that way. I think some colleges are doing it great.
Okay.
Some just aren't cutting it, and that's administration usually that runs it down.
And I mean, we could dive deeper into how colleges market themselves to students, because it's a business. And colleges have invested a lot of money into making their campuses feel like a resorts, and upgrading their dining facilities and making their dorms and their apartments better. But I don't know. It just seems to me that dressing up a business course as an esports course or a social media influencer course, I've seen those. Those are stupider than stupid. But they're just taking knowledge that already exists and they're turning it into something that the current generation can latch onto. I tell multiple people online, you want to get into esports, you want to make some serious waves, 1, get a business degree, 2, put on events at your school. There is nothing better. There's no better teacher than the experience of running an event start to finish. All the details that you have to work into. And so for somebody like you who not only has taught it, but you've also coached teams at the college level. So that part, what's it like when you get a call from the president of the university who's like, hey, come fix our esports program, and their only experience is maybe they have a 20-year-old kid who played played Call of Duty, a few years ago, and he's like, "Dad, your team sucks, and here's why." And he's like, "Oh, okay, I gotta hire somebody to fix this, don't I?" And I mean, that's not a bad thing. He's the president for a reason. He hires people to fix problems and to make the college better. I get that, but you're dealing with people who have zero concept of what it means to be good at Overwatch, League of Legends, Call of Duty, and you're trying to sell them on something where they're like, "I just want more students in the door. I don't freaking care," right?
Yeah, no, it's funny because that's exactly what happened. I came in, there was only 5 students in the program. There was a League of Legends team.
Right.
The old coach left a bad taste in people's mouth, so they all bounced out for spring semester. And when I came in, and it felt good. For me, the first objective was explaining that I don't coach League of Legends, Fortnite, Overwatch, Valorant, every
Right.
single game at once, and that was an uphill battle. And my second thing is I was like, what do you want out of this program? Do you just want money, students, the glamorous looks? And, it's funny, the first president so this is the second, we had an interim president, now we have our new president, but the old interim is the one who hired me.
Right.
And he goes, no, I want to win. And I was like, all right, so we
Okay.
need to do this differently.
Right.
This is we're gonna do something that's not been done before. And my whole thing was, you can be good at League of Legends and Overwatch. Those are, the publisher sponsored games for Collegiate right now. But
Right.
those are already dominated by, Maryville for League of Legends and Maryville for Overwatch and, Northwood. So I was like, you want to win. I'm not going to be able to win right away in League of Legends or Overwatch, but I can win in Fortnite. I can win, in all these other games. So it's like, give me a couple of months, give me some good scholarship money.
Yep.
If all you want to do is win, you don't care about money, sure, let's do this.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I recruited the best Fortnite roster at the time in Collegiate. I had current professional players. They ran the practice server, the practice Discord where all the famous people like Boog and all that practice from. They ended up winning the first tournament, first place, $15,000, $20,000 each in prizing,
Wow.
with Play VS, and then
Yeah.
they had awesome showings throughout the year. A couple of them got signed to go pro, like to pro teams, and
Nice.
job offers, and we did that, and then we got a Hearthstone player. He ended up coming second in the nation, and a Madden player like top 4. So this
Wow.
is all in like a 3-month span, and he's like, all right, I love this, like what can we do now? So I was like, I need more scholarship money. I need to be
Yeah.
able to get the right people in the door. And I always was like a top 1% player in every game I played. So I
Okay.
understand at least statistics. Statistics don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue anything about League of Legends. Never played the game a day in my life. I ended up probably recruiting a top 6, top 5 roster in collegiate in a
Okay.
matter of 2 months. I snag an XLCS player as my top laner,
Wow.
and then an academy level jungler, and then a mid laner, and everything just started falling into place. And then we're getting invited to all these invitationals like that Maryville. So it was pretty crazy
Mm-hmm.
to do that in such a short time. And I believe right now, I think we have more championships won
Mm-hmm.
than any other college program right now combined.
Wow.
So
Wow.
between all the games, minus like, the League of Legends, so we're getting into Overwatch this year, which we already, we
Mm-hmm.
slapped around a bunch of teams. We came in third. They all won like a couple $1,000, and
Yep.
that was their first time playing together. So for me, it was all about winning and then expanding.
Okay.
So my new president, he wants it to be, we don't have traditional sports at our school.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
esports is what we pride ourselves on, and we almost want to make it like an esports college, like
Oh. Okay. Okay.
20% of our students will probably be people involved in the esports program, whether they're on the
Wow.
production
Okay.
side getting paid or the journalism side, the graphics design. Like
Yep.
we're creating internal jobs for these students to bring in. We're
Awesome.
building a massive facility for them to, showcase their work, and,
Yep.
you know, they'll all have working positions while being here on a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty amazing what we're creating. And and we'll continue to win, and we'll continue to attract the people that want to
Right.
come here to be around that winning environment. And this
So,
was all done in a little less than a year.
right.
So
Okay, so that piece right there, that's really interesting. So you don't have traditional sports at at Bay State, right?
correct.
Okay. So I would wager, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I would wager that your I would wager that you trying to sell this to the school is a heck of a lot easier than, say, a school like Ohio State, where they have a legendary football program and they have a basketball program that has won titles and been in the Final Four, and they have a softball program and a baseball program. They're like, esports is kind of this thing over here that we do. Versus Bay State, they're like, we want to be known for something. We want to create, and basically that's what you're doing. You're creating an entire ecosystem, front to back. You have the players, production, journalism, graphics, everything front to back. That your president's like, look, I just want to be awesome at something, and we can be awesome at this. And in reality, and this is something else that I also said, it's cheaper to run an esports program than it is a football program. I have talked to multiple ads. I've talked to multiple college administrators. The cost to run a football program is immense, not just scholarships, but equipment and field and maintenance and game day administration and the statistics and everything behind it. You're talking, they have to allocate so much money to take care of the field and to pay officials. Whereas you could basically run an esports program in 3 rooms. You have a room with computers and tables and some cameras, and maybe a production room off to the side, and then a third room where everybody sits and watches, right?
Yeah, well, you can do that in this wave of esports, but in the next
Okay.
5 years, I don't think that's gonna flow.
Right.
Like
Right.
we're looking into 20 to 50,000 square foot spaces right now for this
Yes.
upcoming year,
Yes.
and in 5 to 10 years, that'll be outdated. You'll need that
Huh.
100 to 200,000 square feet of space, and this is actually a good point. You say that football programs are expensive to run. Esports programs can be expensive to run if you're doing it the right way. I know that sounds kind of weird, but if
Okay.
you're building the facilities and expanding on the ecosystem like we're trying to do, it's
Right.
going to cost money. It's not going to be like a $200,000 expenditure. You're spending millions of
No.
dollars. Granted, football, you're going to spend millions of dollars every year when you're one of these big D1 schools. You're also going to get
Correct.
hundreds of millions in return.
Correct.
But
Correct.
um, but to point on that, I typically, whenever I do any, initial consultant for a school that wants to bring on like a competitive esports program,
Hmm.
I typically tell them to stay out of athletics because
Yeah.
they're competing with the football budget, the
Yep.
baseball, the soccer's, the field hockey. Why compete with that when you can compete, in student life and activity? There's plenty of money in there,
Yes.
especially to start up a program, and they can always get more. That's where all the grant money goes to typically. So. Um,
And something else that I want to ask you specifically is that the type of student that you recruit and that plays in your program, do you find that they are more focused, that they are more, I guess you could call it, more dedicated to the process? Because you have pro football, and a lot of people go to a major D1 school, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Florida State, whatever, because they believe they have prospects at the next level. And so for them, a college isn't as serious as it might be. But I'm under the impression that if somebody goes to college for esports, if you're playing Overwatch, League of Legends, Call of Duty, doesn't matter, that they are more focused on science subjects, that they are more they tend to be more studious than the average student because they have to structure their day a certain way to get everything done. Is that the wrong impression?
It depends,
Okay,
honestly.
okay,
We
okay,
get all walks of life, but yeah, typically they're IT and computer science type backgrounds. But traditionally, what I see for me personally is students that did really poorly in high school,
okay,
um, and school wasn't really their thing, and gaming was kind of just their hobby, and they ended up
okay.
just being really good at it. Um, But to kind of touch on your point, these students coming in, my GPA at my school is, averaged out 3.2 or above for my whole program.
Okay, nice.
And some of these people were coming in with 2.0s and, really low GPAs and needing recommendations. And
Right.
now they're a 3.5 to a 4.0 student. What happened is,
Wow.
now they've got a community backing them. They got a bunch of friends here that relate to them, because,
Okay.
it's not like they're the kids that were going in high school and getting bullied. They're the kids that were in high school that went home and played video games and didn't want to,
Right.
do all the work. That's what I've gotten traditionally.
Okay.
But we're super competitive, so these kids were probably spending thousands of hours on their game where, like for like the Colorado State gamers, right?
Right.
They always had pretty good grades.
Okay.
That
Got
was
it.
more
Okay.
of just like a hobby, not their job type of thing. So a couple
Okay.
different spectrums in this.
So okay. So that's a really okay, and I'm glad that I'm talking to you about this because I've been under the impression that college esports students are a certain group, and I'm really glad that you brought that up to me. Is it is it you're getting the type of high school student? They're like, I hate drama. I don't like to go to the basketball and football games. I don't like going to dances. I like playing Call of Duty. I like this stuff, and they do enough to get by in high school, but then they come to college. You're like, wow, everybody here likes the same game, and we can all have a conversation on the same intellectual level, and I have people that actually watch me play, and it's really interesting. The power of community is that you have kids, like you said, that come in with a 2.0 GPA, and they need a lot of support to get them in. But once they're in, they're like, "This is great. I love it here." Right?
Exactly. It's like the
Wow.
flip of a switch, and they're like, and in order to maintain a scholarship, you got to keep a GPA, but
Sure.
that's only a 2.0 anyways, and they're far like exceeding that. So it's definitely really nice to see that, and you know, I think I like to see the ones that I get the transcript sent in. They're like a 4.0. I'm like, oh yeah, like this will be easy.
Okay. So you're talking about recruiting, and what is it like for you to either, whether you're on a Zoom call or you actually go to someone's house and you're talking to this kid's parents, and they're like, "I'll give your kid a college scholarship to come to my school and play a League of Legends," and parents are like, "What the hell is League of Legends?" Because I don't know what that is. How's that conversation like?
It's always a different conversation.
Okay.
Um, it's pretty cool though that like for base data, these are the super competitive people. These
Right.
everybody that I have is a top 200 player in the world in their respective game,
Okay.
and
Nice.
when I talk to their parents, they actually understand what this is, and they're like, yeah, they've been trying to go professional for so long, and
Wow. Okay.
we actually really support this. We want them to go to college. This is their thing. I have had parents though that are like, this is a effing scam, like who is this guy, all this stuff, and then
Right.
it takes a few conversations to be like, no, your son or daughter is getting,
Hmm.
almost a full scholarship to college. This is legit. They're accepted. Look at the papers. I mean,
Right.
let's talk. And then they end up being super nice and thankful, and it's a similar process to like being recruited by a college football player. I mean, I'd go to a parent's house or I'd call them, I'd Zoom with them
Right.
and say, they, welcome to our school. This is what we'd like to offer you, things like that. It's very traditional to that sports presence. And, it's always the mothers that get super excited. They're like, yes, like we finally made it. Their kids going,
Uh huh.
and for us, you mentioned something about like the pro scene earlier, like
Right.
if this is the way to it. So we've already sent a few people pro.
Nice.
I
Nice.
think the top competitive programs in collegiate already are doing so. They're sending people
Okay.
professional, and we're going to be one of those programs that, if you want to go pro, this would probably be a good shot to get looked at because we're going to win. So,
Nice.
um, that's kind of how it works.
So okay. So I'm gonna make a reference to a tweet that I put out a while ago. So back when, I think that it's been at least about a month and a half since the Supreme Court said that the NCAA's fake amateurism policy is basically toast. And right after that, you had Nadeshot, who's like, "Hey, who are some of the best college athletes who are gamers out there? Have you started any kind of a conversation with some of these upper tier orgs where you're like, hey, maybe come sponsor us or anything like that? Have you tried that yet?"
Yeah, I
Okay.
have.
Okay.
Some of them have went really well. I don't want to spill the beans too much, but I don't think I'll have one of my teams for too long.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So they'll come in quick and they'll leave pretty quick. That's how I'm under the impression. And sponsorships are definitely coming around the corner for multiple universities. And
Right.
I've definitely reached out to those types of people a bunch and had some good conversations. And a lot of these professional orgs are getting to the collegiate side of things. And you saw it in the amateur League of Legends scene this year. Most of those professional, like the TSM amateur and
Right.
Evil Genius amateur, all those, most of those people were college players. So um,
Nice.
they're setting up university networks,
Yep.
education type things. I mean, it's all over. So yeah, I mean, definitely in talks with all those people, and I want to be the first one to get those signings.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I am thrilled to death. I'm thrilled to death. So, is there a difference that you've seen between how the process works on the East Coast, because you started in Boston and you're also community manager in Colorado. Is there a difference in thought process? Is there a difference in how you interact with people on the East Coast versus the Midwest versus West Coast?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, on the East Coast, New England side of things,
Mm-hmm.
like typically, specifically New England, like I'm the king. For not like me, but my school.
Right.
There's no other programs there,
Right.
and the ones that there are, they're not competitive. So,
Okay.
my third and fourth rosters are beating their best rosters. And
Okay.
it's not even a contest. So, as far as that, the difference between us is we're trying to be at the same level as those Midwestern schools that have
Okay.
had 5, 6 years of experience. And it definitely is a different conversation. So for me, you know, Colorado, I'm not getting investors calling me saying, "Hey, we're looking at your market.
Right.
Like we want to go invest here," right? It's just not a big enough region, and
Mm-hmm.
but Boston, I'm on calls daily. People wanting to invest money, whether it's into our program or into the ecosystem in general. I mean, I did something pretty crazy this year, but we got all Boston public high schools and middle schools to start participating in esports,
Nice.
and
Nice. Nice.
so, that's a big initiative that we're working with on a nonprofit right now.
Right.
Everything's free of charge for them. We're going to get it going off, really, really smoothly. And that just all kind of plays into our East Coast thing. So I think for East Coast, it's kind of easier to get investment right now because it's untapped.
Okay.
Um,
Nice. Okay.
but the investment's already been West Coast and Midwest. So it's bound to happen for schools that start getting on now.
Okay, and see, that's fantastic. I like the fact that you've not only are you working on the competitive end, but you have that grassroots bottom level of getting these 10, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids who already love the crap out of the game, but then you're getting it into the schools and it so I've seen how teachers have been able to use video games just to teach the basic concepts of math and writing and just when it comes to critical thinking in general, how to solve problems. And I talked to multiple teachers who love it. They're like, my students are so much more engaged because if we're talking Call of Duty, if we're talking Fortnite, we're talking PUBG, we're talking Overwatch, they like all sit up and they're like, oh yeah, I know, but and all a teacher wants is a student who pays attention, and whatever it takes to get them to pay attention and learn the subject matter, that's what they'll do. And it's fantastic. I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you not only have leveraged your skills for yourself. Don't get me wrong. I had no problem with you making money because that's what makes the world go round, and then you're giving back on the back end. It's really really fantastic. So where you're at and your experience, what do you see as the next step here? Because I don't think that colleges teaching esports programs, quote unquote, is really going to last very long. I think people are going to realize I can get a business degree and just move forward with it. So where do you think this entire thing goes from here?
I mean, everything. This could be another hour long, but
Right.
um, there's a couple ways I see things like this going.
Mm-hmm.
I think 10 years down the road, we're going to see a lot of schools investing more into their computer science programs
Okay.
on top of this, and a lot of it's going to be part of artificial intelligence. Um, and I see esports kind of like, this is just a personal opinion, for within the next 10 to 20 years, is
Mm-hmm.
moving to more AI versus AI wars, like coder versus coder. I think that's how they'll attract the next market. Imagine how badass it would be to see, a bunch of people in Halo, but they, you know, created the bots in there and they have to
Mm-hmm.
slay it out to win, or like a chessboard, something like
Right.
that.
Yep.
I see that's how they start going. I definitely don't think it will die down too quick, though, the
Okay.
education side of things.
Okay.
I think esports is so new in its infancy stages that
Okay.
if it dies out now, the schools would be kind of fools to stop teaching it. I like the idea of people, excuse me, understanding what the market is and how to, like, for me, a student that's never heard of Discord or the gaming community or
Right.
just anything in general of like how this culture works, they're never going to make it here.
Okay.
So at least get some of those skills to understand it. They should be, you know, put in front of that audience. But, I see education going more towards, unfortunately, certificates and stuff. Or,
Okay.
for me, if
Yep.
the way I want to do it is I want to have a 2+2 program. I know it sounds crazy, but they do the 4+1 for masters. But
Okay.
I want to do like an extensive esports associate degree where I'm partnered with a bunch of different professional orgs that offer internships along the way through that 2-year process, as
Okay.
well as just like all endemic to like learn the shit out of production, learn the shit
Mm-hmm.
out of journalism,
Yep.
everything that you can, how to manage a team, how to scout talent, how to do a partnership in esports, all
Yep.
these things. I would love to see that, but then them move on to a bachelor's degree after that actually holds weight on its shoulder. But then those, like, the way I would do it is I would partner with these companies that are now going to hand pick the students out of this program
Right.
directly out, or maybe after their bachelor's degree, because they taught them exactly what they want their employees to know.
Right.
Um, I see things like that as the future wave, and
Okay.
I'm hoping to develop something like that soon. And you know, it's always going to be a test because no one's done something like this. But
Right.
if it works, it works.
Well, and the great thing about that entire thought process is that we can um we can um we can iterate through it so quickly because you're just taking base core concepts that people will already know when it comes to business and production side, and you're applying it to a specific situation. And I would love to see 100 Thieves partner with you and say, you know what, we're going to start this program that you said 2+2. So we're gonna have the base concept of an esports associate, and then kind of a back end bachelor's where you understand business as a whole, what it takes to launch a product line, what it takes to, I mean, I don't think people really understand what contract negotiations are. I don't think anybody who has never done it understands what it means to have somebody say they want to partner with you and then send a contract back and forth 27 times. There's this line I want taken out. I want this phrase. I mean, I've done these things. It's literally taken weeks. We've argued over a paragraph for like a week, and you're like, it's just a freaking paragraph. Why are we having this conversation? Well, that's important at a level that a lot of people don't grasp. And I think as education becomes more portable, like you're talking about, getting into certificate programs, I can definitely see a time at which a bachelor's degree won't hold as much weight as having a certificate in a certain skill from an institution like yours that is respected. I mean, you could say at Bay State College, we've made, 12 different graphics designers that have gone on to work in these groups. So that speaks directly to the quality of your program, which is what colleges were doing 40 years ago. Anyway, it's the same sort of concept, just making a portable, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, man, Coach Hummel, I definitely want to have you back. I think there are some very specific topics that we can dive a lot deeper into. I'm grateful that you made time for me. It sounds to me like you're an extremely busy guy. Thank you very much for making time for me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Please do like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out GBIRL.com with the audio versions of these podcasts. I'll definitely post this. We're going to put highlights on Twitter. Check out at what I believe it's at a little _B_ man. You see it on the overlay right there. Check him out on Twitter. Hit him up. He's got brains for days. I can already tell we're going to have great conversations in the future. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for tuning in today. You can find links to everyone on the show in the description below. Check out Bill the Conqueror on Twitch and Twitter to stay up to date on his thoughts and ideas about gaming culture.